we got to talk about Kevin Durant's next chapter. Kevin Durant is now a member of the Houston Rockets. A long, drawn-out trade saga has finally come to an end with a result that is not a surprise to anybody, but, you know, the package, the final outcome of how we got here is interesting to talk about. The Phoenix Suns are trading two-time NBA Finals MVP Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 pick in 2025 NBA draft, and 5 second-round picks. Not a great return. We're grading this trade. We're grading for both sides.
Okay.
My first thought. Actually, tell me your first thought.
I think, okay, it has been reported that in a couple days, Adam Silver is going to announce expansion. I think that with that, he should also remove Matt Ishbia from the Phoenix. Yeah. I think this is one of the worst trade packages that I understand. Kevin Durant is 37 years old and he's old, and you were never going to get the original package that you gave out. But to send all of that out to get Kevin Durant and to not get Jabari Smith, one of Jabari Smith, Cam Whitmore, Tari Eason, any one of those guys.
Reed Shepherd, someone.
Players who don't play for the Rockets, by the way. Cam Whitmore does not touch the rotation. That might not change next year.
Exactly. But to not get any one of them in this deal, and now if you are not rerouting Jalen Green, to then in the fall say, we are going to start Jalen Green, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker. You, sir, are a criminal. You're awful.
Investigate that man.
You're awful.
So this trade, obviously, you know, lots of teams were linked to Kevin Durant. Okay, so yes, F. I'm grading this an F for the Phoenix Suns.
Yes.
But I'm understanding of how we got here to some extent. You get an F because this is an outright horrible package for Kevin Durant, even at his advanced age, to put it lightly. This is a bad trade package. Jalen Green, to me, is a negative asset. If you still want to sell yourself on the star upside, neutral asset. He gets paid like a star, so that's fine, right? Sure, you can tell yourself that. Number 10 pick is a good pick, not an amazing pick. It's not a top 5 pick in a top heavy draft class. Dylan Brooks is a good role player to have. Maybe they get another first round pick for him. Cool. It's Kevin fucking Durant.
Yeah.
Dude, a couple years ago, they gave up 3 times as much of this. And this was like a bidding war between the Rockets, the Timberwolves, the Heat, and the Spurs at some point, and reported other mystery teams. The Raptors threw their hat in there. The Nuggets reached out. Lots of teams trying to get an offer in. All of them lowballing the Suns. All of them saying, here's some pennies. Will you take it? Because the Suns had zero negotiation leverage because they're dumb as fuck, and they announced weeks ago that they're going to have to trade him. So they just basically put themselves in the position. They looked 5 guys in the face, gave them all guns, made them point it at them, and let themselves get robbed. That's exactly what happened. It's their fault.
Yeah. Although it's their fault still, you're right. Like, it just will never sit right to just look someone like Jalen Green in the eyes, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 overall pick, whoever it may be. Good pick, bad pick. We don't know what it is.
Shout out Carter Bryant or whoever they're going to take with that.
Yeah,
Shout out
Carter Bryant. Yeah. Shout out Derek Queen. Whatever it might be, who knows? But that alongside 5 second-round picks, who cares? If I am Devin Booker, you do not understand how irate and also depressed I would be. You were just 2 games away from winning the NBA Finals at this point 4 years ago now. And you're left with the roster of Bradley Beal, Grayson Allen, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks. Bro, that's 3 other guards other than you, bro. 3 other guards other than you. Where else what happens to Jalen Green? This is a terrible position to be at when you're someone like Devin Booker, who had the potential to be, I don't know, this is the debate. I'm not having this debate with you guys at all, but someone who could very well have been a Hall of Fame level player, one of the greatest Phoenix Suns of all time. He still is that regardless.
Yeah, still is. But
to be left with this at the dead ass prime of your career is embarrassing. And at this point in time, it's like, what are we? Yeah. What type of basketball are we playing?
This is probably the best they could do. They probably took the best offer for now and the future, whatever they gauge as what's important with the assets on the table. This is probably the best offer they got because, like I said, everybody was lowballing them because of the lack of leverage they had. And Kevin Durant is old as hell. He hasn't slowed down to the point where he's not a star yet, but you know, when you're turning 37 this next season, any year can be the year where you fall off, right? Like that's on the table for sure. That weighs into the equation. Nevertheless, I'm sure if you're a Suns fan, you can see that, you can acknowledge that, you can tell yourself that they did the best they could. Not a big deal, right? A win overall. but it still has to feel terrible when you know you were in the finals, like you said. You had this young core. Everything was great. You added Kevin Durant. You thought you were going to be at the top of the mountain because you added a top 5 player in the world at that time to an already existing core of stars. And you watched it wither away, move by move, Bradley Beal by Bradley Beal, Tumani Kamara out the door by Tumani Kamara out the door, Yusuf Nurkic in the door, all these little moves around the edges that slowly got worse. And now you're at the point where it feels like Kevin Durant pillaged your team and left you with just rubble.
It's not his fault.
It's not KD's fault.
Of
course not. But the experience was a complete failure. It's Matt Ishbia's fault over anybody.
100%.
James Jones' fault over anybody.
The way that they were protesting outside of Dallas after Luka got traded, I'd do the same thing in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Where I'm bringing coffins to the stadium. I'm bringing pitchforks, maybe no fire, but I just don't understand what the conversations are like for all those reasons that you said. What are they talking to Devin Booker about? What are they telling him? Are they just looking him in the face and being like, Kevin Durant is 37 and Bradley Beal has a no trade clause. I can't really do anything.
And that's true.
To right, like they are in a mess by the consequences of their own actions.
Yeah,
and
honestly.
So like, there's not a way out. They also have no picks.
Yeah,
outside of they got 10 obviously, but like for the rest of the decade, like their picks aren't there. They didn't. That's also another thing. They didn't even get any one of their picks back.
Honestly, I'm so close to calling these guys the dummies of the decade. If Nico Harrison didn't exist, well, honestly, he may get a pass because of just luck. It just happens to be that way in the NBA sometimes. Dummies of the decade because genuinely, since the year 2021, they haven't made a single good transaction. I guess if you want to look back and call that KD trade, good trade, whatever. It's needless to say, looking back at it now, obviously, like, you kind of wish you didn't make that trade and you would have kept all those assets that you had way back then. Every single transaction that they made, they fucking lost. Whether it be a young player that they drafted, of course, the guy that they selected last year, I forget his name now, the wing that they drafted.
Ryan Dunn?
Yeah, Ryan Dunn seems like a very promising player. But outside of that, they have not made a single good transaction, whether it be trade, a signing, whether it be front office moves. I think recently I just seen something happen to their GM. Bro, it's so bad all around. What's on my screen right now, Isaac?
James Jones.
Dudes be like, Subway sucks. My brother in Christ, you made the sandwich.
That's Matt Ishbia. He's like, how did we get here? My hot dogs are so cheap. I'm doing all the right things as an owner. I wonder how we got here, Matt. I wonder how this happened. I wonder who could have foreseen this. I wonder who could have been responsible for this.
Yeah. So, like, the Suns, awful. Now, for the Rockets, hey, shout out to y'all.
That's
and
funny.
Shout out to Raphael Stone because you messed up, right? You took Jalen Green with that pick. Does not matter.
Nope.
You made up for it right now. And outside of the minutia of what pick went here and how many second round picks go,
Vocab.
you went and you said, I'm going to trade my 2 most frustrating players for the best player in the deal. On that in itself, you won the trade.
Yeah, to me, A+ for OKC. OKC, for Houston. And there was a lot of debate on whether or not a team this young should be in the market at all for a 37-year-old star, right? You're accelerating your timeline. You could potentially be accelerating it too fast when the rest of your young core isn't ready, and now you have to win because KD is obviously in win now mode because you only have so many years left that it's a real debate on how much you want to give up for a player that is so out of tune with the rest of your perceived timeline. If it's this cheap, who gives a fuck? You are so much better now. He checks exactly what you needed offensively from a shot creator. Defensively, I'm licking my chops to see Kevin Durant with so little defensive pressure on him to be like your 5th best defender in your lineup, 4th best defender in your lineup. He's going to be fantastic on that end. With the IQ defensive these days, obviously gives him better shot making. They're going to be huge. And like, to me, getting off the Jalen Green contract is like an under talked about W. Like, that is fantastic. Get the best player. Don't gotta have him on your books long term. So even if KD leaves in a couple of years because he retires, like, who knows? Now your books are cleaner because you don't have Jalen Green. All it took was a 10th pick in the draft when you don't need to add a young player at this point, and you still keep your future Phoenix Suns picks for when they're a nightmare in 2027 and so on. I can't explain how big of a W this is. Like A+ doesn't do it justice for how good I feel about it.
I agree. A++. There you go. That may be enough justice for you. Talk about timeline issues of how potential fans may perceive this. Bro, they just like escaped a timeline of torment and hell and disappointment with Jalen Green and the type of player that he's shown us to be and might project to be throughout the entirety of his NBA career, which is just full of inconsistencies. When it comes to someone like Kevin Durant, you're right. Like he has been and probably will forever be, in terms of like talking about longevity, the most underappreciated superstar that the NBA has to offer, because LeBron's clouded that and he's fucking LeBron, for God's sake. But seeing how KD's over the year has just been more, yes, when he doesn't get to the rim as much. Yes, like when it comes to being able to be forceful in his way and just have a certain level of explosiveness, that's fucking gone.
Yeah.
But regardless of the fact, like he's still one of the best shooters in the league. I think he shot like 42% from the 3-point line this past year on like 6 attempts. He is the perfect fit on this roster across all the boards. And what is our future starting lineup going to be? It's Fred VanVleet, Amen, I assume.
Amen, Kevin Durant, Jabari, Sengun. And that fits like a glove. It makes a men's life easier because obviously he can continue to develop at his own pace.
And be a demon.
No pressure to be a go-to shot creator next year. If that happens, it happens. But all the time in the world. This helps Sengun so much because he finally has a real starter run a two-man game with, a real consistent, reliable shot maker that can make it so Sengun doesn't have to be your primary scoring option. He can be the good supporting all-star he's meant to be. I don't think it's a slight to him to say that he shouldn't be the best player on a championship team, at least as of now at this age. I'm sure if you're a Rockets fan, you have faith he gets there. I'm not here to shoot that down, but it helps him a lot to be able to slot into a much less pressurized role playing off of somebody like Kevin Durant on the offensive end. It makes Jabari Smith's life easier because he can continue to just do his thing and be the defensive Swiss Army knife that makes him good. Even less pressure on him to make an offensive leap as time goes on. It's overall, like, there's really no downside to me.
I want to go back to the timeline thing because, one, I don't give a damn about timeline.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even if
fuck time.
Yeah. Do you know who just won the NBA championship? Fuck a timeline.
Even if I did, saying like, oh, we can't go after KD because it's gonna mess up the timeline, it actually perfects the timeline.
Okay.
Because for what you said, if they go and they give KD like a 2-year extension, right? And you have like three more years of KD.
Yeah.
Whenever he's done, Amen's gonna be like 25. Like all of the guys that you are counting on right now to develop in terms of Amen, Sengun, Jabari, they are now going to be in those ages where you look at in the NBA and say, oh, you're in your prime. Oh, you are going to be like who you are in these fully fledged stuff. So for these next 3 years, you get to develop with Kevin Durant on your team. And then whenever he's done and he's 40 years old, now you have a team full of fully developed players that have been in-house the entire time. Like your timeline from here to the rest of the decade, it's set in stone. It's locked. Shit. And it makes sense.
I can't wait to see how it looks offensively.
Yeah.
Like, Ime Udoka's a fantastic defensive coach. Not like the worst offensive coach in the league, but not amazing. Kevin Durant is like, he's like used to playing in garbage situations now, and he gets his own, obviously, famously will like be the most resilient superstar. So obviously he helps their spacing, first and foremost. They're going to be better shooting. You imagine these double big lineups that made them work so well last year with Steven Adams and Sengun. Kevin Durant can get his game off, even with that weird wonky spacing. He can get to his mid-range jumpers. He'll make the spacing better. You have him in the opposite corner. That helps a lot spacing-wise. And then playing through him, I think him and Sengun could work in a two-man game. Kevin Durant isn't quite the cutter he once was, but he's still really good running off of screens, can still do dribble handoff stuff, can still run off of pin downs. That plays into Sengun's playmaking. I'm interested to see what Amin Thompson looks like because I think this kind of... Actually, no, I don't know what I think here. Do you think this incentivizes him to be more of an on-ball playmaker next year or incentivizes him to continue to be like the Swiss Army knife wing?
I think both things are true for me personally. Like, obviously, KD like relieves a lot of pressure from someone like him, and he will not be asked to look for certain things, whether it be the on-ball playmaking at times. because Fred VanVleet's going to be there and KD's going to be there, saying who's going to demand a certain level of attention too. But I think they can definitely do so much experimentation with this because, again, KD is 37, 38, going to be 37, 38 years old. You don't want to have him do a lot of the things and mask as a point guard or two guard at times. I think you very much want Amen to do a lot of the same things that he did last year in tenfold.
And you still kept Fred VanVleet to keep everything together and running smooth.
Yeah.
That's where we kind of have to have the conversations, because I mean Fred is he's just not efficient enough as a scorer. And so like I think when you ask about Amen, yes, like regardless of having KD there or not, I need you to do more, because we've seen Fred, especially here in Houston, not be super efficient and just in chucking shots. So I would like to have a little bit of a different look,
because he has to.
Yeah,
so
that's
Kevin
Fred's-
Durant helps. I think Fred VanVleet is a little bit of an unsung hero to like what he does for that offense
then,
as a playmaker.
Yeah.
He's gonna be 31. He's a smaller guard. Like the days where he could be in the system and it would have been better because he was younger and a little bit more athletic for whatever size he is. Like those days are gone now. And so I do think that at this point in time,
Fred VanVleet was athletic? The hell?
That's
when did that happen?
I'm just saying, like, you lose athleticism over time, whatever.
I think for someone like Fred VanVleet specifically, he's in a specific crop of guards to where it's like your efficiency doesn't matter because I know the type of shots you take. You take bombs, bro. You take like 35 footers, 30 footers all the time. So that really doesn't move me more because you have, I think, when it comes to consistency of scoring, that responsibility belongs to someone like Alfred Sengun and KD, of course. And then you can, whatever Fred VanVleet can give you, 10 to 12, 15 points, whatever, you will take it.
He's going to be just like the point guard. He's going to shoot a lot less, which is good for what you're saying. Yes. So that makes me like him. It's good for him too. I mentioned everybody's good for. It's damn sure good for Fred VanVleet. He can be the vocal leader because Kevin Durant's not
be more efficient too. Yeah,
it'll make him more efficient. Doesn't gotta be relied upon quite as much. He'll be the vocal leader. Kevin Durant will be the vocal buckets.
And also too, like Reed Shepherd is still there. He probably might crack the rotation next year. I don't know if that's
I hope so.
I don't know if it doesn't happen.
I hope so.
Does or doesn't? Who knows? But I mean, that's someone who could be there for you as well, Dom. Who can release some pressure off of someone like.
And that's
are the Rockets making the conference finals next year?
It's there in the conversation.
Well, we're ducking all
easily.
This stuff. Is this the move? Are they over the hump? Do you see them as the biggest threat to OKC in the West? That's what this is all for.
Yes.
You had a top 10 player on your team immediately. Yes, you are like.
What about the Mavs when they get Kyrie back the second half of the year?
No.
Cooper Flag.
They're too far off, I think.
Are they that far? I mean, it depends what Kyrie looks like.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, we don't know what Kyrie looks like, and then this is Cooper Flag's like first year.
If he looks
Anthony
solid,
Davis has to be like healthy throughout the year.
If Cooper Flag can just be juiced up PJ Washington, and you got two of them. You got Anthony Davis, and if Kyrie comes back looking good, like they might be a threat year one.
That's fine. Kyrie's not going to do it.
They could.
Well, he could. We've seen ACL recoveries.
I believe someone. I believe.
But first
in
year
Kyrie,
in season is tough to.
So,
that's a lot of pressure upon him.
So
but outside of them,
So the Mavs, I'm gonna count out right now. Obviously,
okay.
I have all off season to change it, and I probably will. The Mavs, I'm gonna count out. Spurs, I don't think that their depth is good enough to take them to the conference finals.
No.
But they could be frisky.
Okay.
Denver.
Who knows? They're gonna make.
You want to give Jokic some type of credit, but like it's tough. So I'm gonna say no for Denver. I have to pull up the standings right now.
Timberwolves with another year this core, they're probably gonna lose.
No. I'll take Houston over Minnesota right now.
Yeah, I got Houston firmly number 2 right now. Like they had one of the most hellacious defenses, and the only thing that was stopping them was their offense. And I think their offensive rating wasn't even like god awful. They somehow made it work.
They had a hellacious defense. They just traded the worst defender in the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
They had an inconsistent offense. They just traded their most inconsistent offensive player.
Yeah,
they're gonna be better.
Yeah,
they're gonna be a lot better.
The Lakers.
Who knows?
TBD.
TBD. They have stuff. There's so many
Clippers.
On paper,
I think they're going to be better than the Clippers. Yeah.
On paper, the Rockets are the biggest threat right now. A lot is going to change. A lot is going to change this summer. We're going to see more moves. Yeah. The landscape of the NBA will be different 2 months from now. We can guarantee that.
Memphis.
Go to hell.
You're joking, but they have a lot of. When I say the landscape will be different, it's because teams like that are like loaded up with picks and can make some shit happen. So like you say it as a joke, we might look up a month from now and they have fucking Giannis going to go.
I know.
We have no clue what's going to happen, but as of today, I think the Rockets have really positioned themselves well. Like I buy them now. Like we were obviously we appreciated them this past year, I think by the end of the season, but it's no secret that we've doubted them and some of their best players on their teams.
And why? Well, why did it? Because it's not like we were just out here like, oh, you guys are fake for no reason.
No, we weren't wrong. We
That's
were
what I'm
wrong.
saying.
Their offense was not good enough at the end of the day. And like we didn't believe in them. I believe in them. Kevin Durant moves me. Along with, progression from their other players, like another leap from Amen Thompson. Hopefully Reed Shepard becomes the player that we hoped he could be. More players that can make sizable leaps. If Cam Whitmore can channel his scoring acumen to be a efficient player and play winning basketball, whatever that means. There's reasons to believe in them on the margins, and the giant Kevin Durant added to the equation, I think they're going to be a legit conference finals threat. Building on top of that, I would feel very good if I was a OKC Rockets fan. And I know half the Rockets fans have like a civil war on Twitter over the past year where Turkish Sengun fans and Jalen Green AAU fans like hate each other and swear their guy is like the future of the team and the other one's holding them back.
Got bad news for both of you.
Got bad news for half of you. You didn't win the war. You lost the war in dramatic fashion. Don't know where Jalen Green's gonna be playing. Sengun fan, the Turkish nationals, you guys win.
Wow, bro.
I do have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Now that he has been traded in Jalen Green, do we expect more Wingstop commercials next season in Phoenix? I don't think it really makes a difference between Houston and Phoenix. But now you've moved on from the secondary team. You're no longer the young star. You're now just the guy who got moved. Are we seeing more commercials?
I think he has a lot of bills to pay over the next 18 years, and he's a good agent. So yes.
Fair.
I'm gonna go ahead and say yes.
Okay.
The most an underlying talking point to this too that you mentioned briefly was that the Phoenix Suns weren't able to go ahead and get their own pick back. Well, yes, technically they did with the 10th overall pick, but that's like damn not irrelevant, but it's just like whatever piece. That 2027 pick that's unprotected moves so fucking much because who knows what that roster is going to look like at that point in time. I think Bradley Beal's contract may be expiring. Who knows at that point in time. But just to find out, like, they still have another move up their sleeve along with, again, like their own first round picks too. It's ridiculous. Yeah. This is a S tier run that this front office, this new era is in.
Shout out the Minnesota Timberwolves for dodging a bullet. You guys tried to trade Rudy Gobert for Kevin Durant. I'm glad you got saved from yourself because that defense would have been set up to massively disappoint next year, I think, if that trade went through.
A+.
I'm glad they got saved for themselves.
A+ for the Minnesota Timberwolves, bro. They didn't even do shit. A+ for them.
They should make moves. I do not think this is the one for them. It is the one for the Rockets. It is the one for the Spurs. It's probably the one for the Heat. Was not the one for the Timberwolves.
The Miami Heat.
I know.
This roster sucks.